You think we waited a long time for Zion's debut? This man has waited his whole life.
It's been very difficult. If y'all saw me meditating on the sidelines during the games, it's been very difficult, but it's finally here. I finally get to go back out there.
And in his debut, it took a while to warm up, but he scored 17 points in just over 3 minutes. That is the Rookie of the Year type stuff we expected before the injury. And while Zion healed up, Ja Morant blew up. But there is a way for Zion to steal Ja Morant's Rookie of the Year award. It'll take a lot, but by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it will take for Zion Williamson to be the 2020 Rookie of the Year. Hey, it's Casey Kieran, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. We're coming out with new videos Monday through Friday at 6 Eastern. Also hit me up on Instagram at AM Hoops. And if you like the shirt, they're for sale below. It's the best way to support the channel. Zion Williamson was destined for greatness from an early age. He got super popular from YouTube videos of dunks in high school. And Zion Mania has been crazy from the beginning. Recently, he told his teammate JJ Redick on his podcast that when he was a senior in high school, he would walk into class, check his IG followers, and when he left class, he would gain 6,000 followers. But people weren't sold on Zion being the real deal until he went to Duke. It was clear he could play actual ball then and not just dunk. The Pelicans drafted him #1 overall, and in the preseason, Zion balled out. Rookies almost never put up the kind of numbers Zion did in the preseason. Since 1962, the only rookie to score more points per game was David Robinson. Zion averaged 23.3 points per game. Historic. And if you're into advanced stats, Zion would have scored 30.8 points per 36 minutes. That would put Zion 4th in the NBA right now. It would go Harden, Giannis, Luka, then Zion. My point is that Zion was a sure thing to win Rookie of the Year before the season. His odds in some places were -150, which is basically the same odds as the Miami Heat beating the Sacramento Kings at home. Pretty good odds. Then the surgery happened. Zion at some point tore the meniscus in his right knee, and he was out for 3 months. In the meantime, the world saw how talented the #2 overall pick was. And to really understand how Zion wins Rookie of the Year, you have to understand how much of a lead Ja Morant has in this race. I mean, some people think that you should just give the award to Ja. First, Ja passes the eye test, similar to Zion. He's fun to watch.
He gets up and then slams it down.
The dunks have been ridiculous. His hang time is Michael Jordan-like. His vision is unreal. Then there's the numbers. Ja Morant leads all rookies in scoring and assists per game. Oh, and by the way, only 3 Rookie of the Year winners have beaten those per game numbers: Oscar Robertson, Damon Stoudemire, and Allen Iverson. And Ja Morant impacts winning too. He missed 4 games back in December with a back injury, and since he's come back, the Grizzlies have won 14 of 21 games. Without Ja this year, they're 1-5, losing by an average of about 12 points per game. And what about that 3-point shooting? Did someone tell that about him? Ja shoots 40.5% from deep on 2.3 attempts. The only Rookie of the Year winners better, Mike Miller and Larry Bird. So yeah, Ja has a head start by a lot. You've got the eye test, how funny he is to watch, all those numbers, a lot of them historic. But let's put a number on how much of a lead Ja has right now. Going back to those Vegas odds, Ja Morant is -625 to win. That's slightly better than the odds the Heat would beat the Wizards at home. Meanwhile, Zion has dropped to +700. You'd have better odds betting on the Knicks to beat Giannis and the Bucks. So Zion's got Ja Morant to go up against in Rookie of the Year. He's also got history against him. If Zion didn't miss a game from here on out, he'd compete in 38 total. The fewest games a Rookie of the Year winner has ever played is 50. Patrick Ewing did it in 1986, Vince Carter did it in 1999. And there's a real chance he won't play in all 38. The Pels say Zion won't play in back-to-backs initially, and they've got 4 of those left. There is a recent Rookie of the Year race that compares to Zion against Ja. In 2016-17, Joel Embiid got 23 first-place votes despite playing in just 31 games. Malcolm Brogdon won the award. He got 64 first place votes and played in 75 games. The problem for Zion here in this comparison, Malcolm Brogdon was not Ja Morant. Brogdon finished with just 10.2 points per game, 4.2 assists, and 2.8 rebounds. Ja is elite compared to that. Embiid had all-star type numbers, but most voters just could not look past the fact that he missed most of the season. So those are all the reasons that Zion won't win Rookie of the Year. You know, just Ja Morant's huge lead, the history of the award, and Zion's workload going forward. That's all. But we're here to find out why he will win it. And here's how he can overcome all that. First, Zion was picked first for a reason. He's ridiculously talented. To go along with those poster dunks, he's got big stats. We already talked about what he did in the preseason. It was historic. He set records at Duke as well. Zion scored 35 points in a game, setting the single game Duke record. And by the way, Duke has had the most #1 overall picks ever, so they've had some talent. Zion also went 13 for 13 in a game, the best shooting performance in Duke history and in the ACC tournament. Can he do it against NBA competition? Ask Rudy Gobert from the preseason. And yeah, stats will matter a lot for Rookie of the Year. In fact, predicting the award is easy if you just look at stats. I mean, literally, if you add up a rookie's points per game, rebounds and assists per game, and you get that number, the rookie who leads in that number has won Rookie of the Year 15 of the last 18 times. Stats are really important in this award. So, the first thing Zion has to do, put up numbers comparable to the preseason. One question is how long it'll take Zion to show what he can do on the court. The Pelicans have no official minutes restriction on Zion. They've said that over and over. But his head coach Alvin Gentry seemed to say otherwise recently. He said, quote, "We will be overly cautious. He's not going to come out and be a 30-minute per game guy. It's going to be a slow process." Then there's the adjustments Zion has to make. The Pelicans didn't just rehab his knee, they reworked his whole body movement. Zion literally went through a movement retraining program. His knees naturally bend inward, so they had to adjust that. They worked on jumping and landing mechanics because he's so big. They took a look at running analysis, how he walks, and how he stops himself after a sprint. That's a lot to think about during an actual NBA game. And then, of course, there's fitting in with his new teammates. Zion played this one off in front of the media saying, "Oh, we're professionals, we'll figure it out in a game or two," but it could need more work than that. Without Zion, the team rebounded from a 13-game losing streak to back in playoff contention. Brandon Ingram has emerged as a frontrunner for most improved player, and Drew Holiday snapped out of an early slump. Lonzo Ball has even turned the corner. If Zion can somehow overcome all that, his Rookie of the Year will be even more impressive. Next, Rookie of the Year has a lot to do with popularity. Shocker. Luckily for Zion, he'll have a chance to impress voters and fans on national TV. Zion could play in a total of 9 national TV games, including 2 against the Lakers, 1 on ESPN, 1 on TNT. Ja and the Grizz only have 1 national TV game left. It's against the Clippers on NBA TV. And does that really count as national TV, NBA TV? I kind of look at that somewhere between national TV and local. So the second thing that Zion has to do is impress while the world is watching. Finally, there's, the whole winning thing. I know earlier I talked about how important stats are historically in winning Rookie of the Year, but for some reason, I feel like this year feels different. I feel like, similar to MVP, voters are going to take winning into account for Rookie of the Year. The night Zion returned, the Grizzlies were in a playoff spot, the 8th seed. The Pelicans, though, just 3.5 games back. To this point, New Orleans has played the toughest schedule in the NBA, and luckily for Zion, that means that things are going to lighten up. In fact, the Pelicans have the easiest remaining schedule in the Western Conference. It's the second easiest in the entire NBA. The Grizz have the 4th toughest strength of schedule remaining in the West. Translation, a scenario exists where Memphis struggles down the stretch and the Pelicans pass them by into the playoffs. And if Zion is a big reason for that, he's going to get huge love from Rookie of the Year voters. So that is how Zion Williamson can win Rookie of the Year here in 2020. The formula, again, is this. He has to put up gigantic numbers. He's got to impress on national TV. He'll have 4 chances, 2 against the Lakers. And he's got to lead the Pelicans to the playoffs. If Zion can get all that done, there is a chance he wins Rookie of the Year after all.
Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a weekly NBA video.